a factory. Okay, so we can generate a factory which buys and sells. So this is a new type of thing. What I have actually done is I have prepared a graphic for that as well, called factory icon, which is a bit of a crappy factory icon, but this is why I'm a programmer, not a graphic designer or an art game artist or anything. So we will go through the same process again of defining it in the config, then creating a button. So let's copy house. No, what should we do? A shop. Let's copy the shop, because a factory is like a shop, except it doesn't buy and sell the same things, it buys and sells different things. Okay, so it's factory. Now the forest was at position. Let's go through one by one. Okay, so what this does is it sells, I don't know, what should we call them? Building supplies. And it's a seller of building supplies. Its position is irrelevant. What we're going to set the sprite ID, and that again is the location in here. 1, 2, 3, no, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the end. Okay, sprite ID 7. Now, as I said, on request arrival is basically honouring a request, which is when somebody buys something, we sell it to them. That's the sell behaviour. That is the buy behaviour, or rather, that's the accept buying behaviour. Restock is the buy behaviour. Really, on response arrival should be merged with restock. So I'll do that in a bit, but not in this one. What we'll do is we will build. Let's say a factory needs to have at least 50 wood in it before it can start transforming wood into building supplies. So we're going to mean whenever we have less than 50 wood, we will buy 100 wood. So we'll always have enough, should usually have enough to keep us in stock. I'll empty these resources because a new factory would never have any stock in it. That doesn't make any sense at all, does it? Building a factory with stock. Saw some stuff about workers there. That's not going to come in yet. Okay, so now this should be able to buy and sell stock, buy and sell wood. Okay, so it buys and sells wood. Now what we need to do is we need to give it the ability to build some, to transform wood into building supplies. So that is obviously a behaviour, transforming one to another, one resource to another. So if we pop down here, I've defined everything that it can do as a behaviour. So I'm going to look at the generate, which is very simple. This is a schedule behaviour, so it happens periodically as opposed to when something arrives. It's called generate. It takes a resource and a quantity, so these are properties we can set on it. And then when it does something, it takes the object which is working with, the time of the simulation, any resources that we're being passed in, and the event that's actually happening. If this is a vehicle that has arrived, or that hasn't in this situation, if a vehicle has arrived, that event will be passed in as well. So what we'll do is we'll basically copy something like this. Class, what should we call it? We'll call it convert for now. And this is a scheduled behaviour. What I'll also do is we've got before string, instead of having the resource, we'll do required resource. And we're doing, oh no, we'll call it in resource. String out resource. We'll do exactly the same with the quantities as well. Int in quantity, get set, public int out quantity, get set. So now we have these properties set. You need to so what we're specifying is that when you've got in quantity, we will of in resource, we will convert it to out quantity of out resource. So I'll just copy this. So, whoops, that's not what to do. Move that. Okay, so on our actions, this will happen whenever the schedule is satisfied. What we will do is adjust a little bit. If resources, so this is if the building's resources of in resource quantity, so the quantity of resources of the required resources is greater than the in quantity, i.e. we have enough, what should we do? We can subtract, well, we can remove those resources, remove the in quantity, and we can create resources out resource dot quantity plus equals out quantity. So there we have it. If we want to make it a bit more complex, we could have these as being lists of resources and quantities. So if we need sand and clay and water, well, we can make sure we've got enough of those before we'll actually do some work. And what shall I log out? Converting n something to y something else. Tidy that up. So convert in quantity of in resource to out quantity of out resource. Log that out, build that, excellent, it works. So now we can configure that in our configuration file where we did the other behaviours. I'll add a new behaviour in here. If anybody wants you to learn more about Spring, I'm using, this is the Spring framework, which is allowing me to define objects here and just get them out of the config. It's from springframework.net, and it's pretty good. I use it at work and I use it at home, and I find that it makes life very easy for configuring objects. If anybody has any questions to ask about it, just leave them on the Reddit I'll post this on, or on the comment on this video, and I'll see if I can answer them, or anybody else can answer them. So we're adding this behaviour. Let's define the behaviour. Simulation world objects. Active behaviour. It's a little bit long name spacing here. I'll refactor them eventually, but not right now. So it's convert behaviour. Now we need to define its properties. As we know, the properties that we need to define are the in resource, and its value is wood. Do a few more. The out resource. No, let's do the in quantity, then the out resource, and the out quantity. In quantity, let's say we need 50 wood, and we'll convert it to 25 building supply. So yeah, so that's what that should do. When we do that, if I put down a forest, it should automatically try and buy enough wood, and then when it's got enough wood, it should try and build it and convert building supplies. So we'll run that, and then I'll realise that I haven't created a button, so we can't actually do this. Pop in to the screen, yeah, and do another button for it. Name 2, I think. Just this one, 9.2 becomes 6, and then become Oh, I should have recognised that number, shouldn't I? Right. Just pointed to the correct icon, which will be the factory icon, and it will build a factory. And this is the factory button. So as you see here, I'm defining lots of objects which are all pretty much the same, and for some reason I'm configuring my buttons in code. That doesn't make much sense really, so especially since the objects that they interact with are all configured in Spring. This is a prime example for something to export to Spring, and I think I'll do another video on that if people are interested, but not now. So that's the factory button. I'll just make sure that it loads the content, gets updated, and gets drawn. Okay, so that should be enough. Run this, and what do we have? Excellent. So we've got our forest, which generates wood. We've got our factory, which you know what, is running continually. What it's doing is I appear to have forgotten to lock it down on time, so it's only supposed to run periodically. Let's go into its behaviours. In fact, it's the scheduled behaviour. It's not even in behaviour. Let's do in the config, obviously not behaviour itself. Let's see. So, farm has here specified a time span, a period, how long it runs, how often it runs. I will copy this into the convert behaviour to make sure that the convert behaviour doesn't run continually. It'll only run every 30 game minutes. Obviously, in a greater level of this, better simulation, it'll take time to produce it, and that's another thing that I'll do. I'll allow this to trigger the building of it rather than simply building it instantly. But for now, I will build it instantly because that's basically the kind of behaviour we want. Also, I noticed that because it was spamming there when it clearly didn't have enough resources, I will just check in case I missed something out. Where was it? I left it in generate or something, didn't I? Let's bring this into its own file. Let's just save those. Right, log this in here. Inside, only log that we've converted it if we've actually converted it. Okay, let's give it another go. Right, our farm there, generating 20 wood, and our factory here. Now what I've done with the restock behaviour, notice the time is 2 AM. I think the restock behaviour, I've hard-coded it to only work during business hours. This is a little bit of realism to the simulation I added, which is probably a bit premature, given that there's no difference between time and days and then night or what. Right, so come 7 o'clock, it really should have gone somewhere. Let's take a look what's going on. Go into, let's go into the simulation, go into update, I'll track this down. Right. This is the building. This will be another problem because I haven't got any names put on these. It's difficult to tell what's what. I reckon since it's 45, that's the farm, the forest. Step over it again. I reckon this one's going to be further out. Yeah, that's further out. That's definitely it. Look at resources. We've got 2 resources. Let's just check what we've got. We've got wood and workers. Workers. Okay, that means, right, one thing I neglected to do was actually give my farm some workers, give my factory some workers. Again, another little bit of simulation which I put in, and it's now biting me because it doesn't really work properly. But hey, I will copy this here into the resources for factory. Is that the factory? It is the factory. There's the convert behaviour. Make the factory have 10 workers. The point of workers being that a factory obviously can't do anything without it. A vehicle needs to have a worker in it to go and do something. This will mean that you can't function if you don't have people, and this will be the staple core bit of the simulation being people. If you don't have enough workers, if you can't attract enough workers, then it's not going to function. So the whole thing will grind to a halt, and you don't want that, do you? So I've given the factory some workers. It should actually work. Farm there, forest, factory there. Let's quickly wait until the next day. There we go. It's decided to buy wood. Don't know why it's done it so many times. It's a whole bunch of people back. Bought all the wood in the shop. Although most of them didn't have it, so they'll probably end up going backwards. Okay, there we go. As we can see, converting wood to building supplies. So now, if we go back onto, put a breakpoint on our update, you see in our world objects, whoops, let's inspect our world objects, and I can just show this to you. Our second world object, it's resources, 3 resources. It has workers, 10 workers as requested. It has 140 wood because it bought loads of wood for some reason, and it also has 200 building supplies. So it's bought loads of building supplies, which is great. If we just watch the simulation play out a bit more, that's decided it needs more because it's used all the wood up. So let's send some more out. I'll have to figure out why it sent out 10 vehicles instead of just the 1. There we go, building a whole bunch more. Excellent. So as you can see, we've built a forest which generates wood, and we've built a factory which is not only capable of buying wood from the forest but converting it into the into building supplies. Oops, there we go. I will do another video just so that this one doesn't get too long, on making a building site which can buy factories from here, buy building supplies from here, and then eventually convert itself into a house, which is a bit more realistic, building a building site, placing a building site and then building a house, rather than just placing an entire house. Yeah, so there you have it. If you have any questions, let me know.